Hello, this is KiwaniTalk. KiwaniTalk is a public information program usually brought to you from the facilities of WDHS at Dearborn High School by members of the Dearborn Kiwanis Club and students who help us with the taping. But as you can see today, we have the USS Detroit in the background, and today's show is going to be the results of a tour conducted by Commander Michael Desmond, who is the commander of the USS Detroit.
This is the 6th USS Detroit. This is the 4th Freedom Variant Littoral Combat Ship. The ship displaces about 3,300 tons. It has up to 100 sailors embarked at any one time. That includes 55 core crew members, about 20 mission package sailors and their equipment. And an aviation detachment that'll bring 2 helicopters, an MH-60 Romeo and a Fire Scout unmanned aerial vehicle. And the ship is highly maneuverable, capable of speeds up to 40 knots. Under normal circumstances, we will operate with 2 main propulsion diesel engines. Those are our 2 most fuel efficient engines for ship propulsion. And the ship does not have rudders or screws, as you might see on other ships. The ship actually operates much like a water ski, a jet ski, in that we take in water and then we shoot the water out the back, and that provides the forward propulsion. And we steer the ship using these, which are called buckets, and we can combine them into one, or we can split them out to do tighter maneuvers, or actually walk the ship laterally. We don't have paper charts on board. We rely on computer-based navigation plans, and we plan everything digitally, and that makes things a lot easier. As you can tell, replicating something in a computer system is a lot easier than having to erase it and replot it with paper and erase it. This is part of our voyage management system, which will provide all assessed and all provided via computer. So we have ship's heading, our course over ground, our speed over ground, speed through the water. It makes things a lot more accurate and opens up the aperture for the watchstanders to pay attention to the navigation picture and also the contact management picture. So the ability to not have to plot out track, the ability to have autopilot. He or she can actually control start, stop, monitor, close valves, everything in the propulsion plant and auxiliary plant. He or she can control, for the most part. There are some exceptions, with just a touch screen. So he can start the engines simply from the comfort of his chair there. So besides the officer of the deck and the junior officer of the deck, our engineering officer of the watch, known as EOW on other ships, we refer to it as the readiness control officer. He or she can start or stop anything. He has 2 personnel that assist him. They actually rove through the engineering plant to align some of the valves and maintain security. But otherwise, we have a series of closed circuit television cameras throughout the ship, both externally and within the skin of the ship, that help augment maintaining security and monitoring of conditions all aboard. How the ship's engines, gears, jets, and generators are configured, but this provides a layout in kind of in a different configuration. And this is the touch screen that the readiness control officer will use to start engines. These 2 yellow images are the main propulsion diesel engines, starboard and port, and these are our gas turbine engines, both starboard and port. It has the capability to exchange mission modules based on the threat type. So surface warfare, mine warfare, submarine warfare, those can be changed out, all the gear and personnel, in the span of about 4 days if the logistics support is available. And this ship itself is going to be commissioned Saturday. We sailed it out of Marinette, Wisconsin just about a week ago. Made the trip through Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, St. Clair River, Detroit River, Lake St. Clair, and here we are for this week and the commissioning ceremony. And the ship will sail further on through Lake Erie in Ontario, St. Lawrence Seaway, and end up in Mayport, Florida. And additional trials, as I mentioned, and then introduction fully into the fleet for operations. The ship is meant to be here in Detroit for commissioning week. This is a fantastic community, a city filled with so many hardworking, patriotic, devoted, innovative Americans. And we are so honored, the crew is so honored to be here to represent the city of Detroit. You know, this crew, this ship, this city are meant to be together. I think this week has laid the foundation, is laying the foundation for a long-term relationship that I think will be one of the best in the fleet. I think we have one of the best crews, one of the best ships, and we're associated with one of the best cities in America.
I'll tell you, you got a real strong street fighter out here. This ship is it was built with several very different requirements. One was it needed to be fast, and this ship will go over 45 knots. It operates in shallow waters, and I know the CO has told you what they do, but we're operating in 13.5 feet of water. And it's got a very small crew on board, which led to a lot of automation that we brought in that's used actually a lot in the commercial ships that are out there. And we brought it all forward and put that all together, integrated everything. And this littoral combat ship and the class of ships can do multiple things. Their main purpose was to do anti-submarine, mine warfare, and surface warfare. You give a ship like this to a very talented crew that we have, and they tell you what else they're going to do with that ship. They've looked at a lot of different operations and things they can do. You can get people in and out of different areas of conflict very quickly with these ships. Again, shallow water. It was meant to be what used to be a brown water name of operating close to the shores, but it's also a blue water ship with the capability to do that as well. So we replaced 3 ship classes in the U.S. Navy, the FIG-7s, the FFGs, as well as the mine hunters and the mine sweeps. And when you look at what that's done, we've done it in a modular approach here with a flexible hull. So there's 180 metric tons of volume, just open volume in this ship that allows them to take mission packages, bring an ASW package off, put a mine warfare package on, a surface warfare package. We can change these out in less than 96 hours pier side. And future variants of this ship, as they get into a frigate design, will be outfitting the ship with a lot of permanent systems and more firepower. So again, a very flexible modular capability that is becoming a great asset for the U.S. Navy. So we're going to continue to build this original variant, to your point, with the modular capability out through FY 17-18 timeframe. We already have 13 ships under contract. Right now we have a proposal from the Navy, proposal going to the Navy to build an additional 12. What they're going to do is take the 12 ships and modify those in design prior to construction, and they would be built in a frigate format.
We understand that up in Marinette, where they build it, about 40% of the workers come from the UP.
Yes. Yeah. So I said the difference is you never see the difference on the Wisconsin and Michigan lines. It's usually football teams that are divided up there between the Lions and the Packers. But very strong workforce, very capable. Marinette, Fincantieri Marinette Marine has done a great job. High quality ships, and these ships are built to fight and go take them wherever they need to put them.
And is that number accurate? 40% of the people who worked on this ship live in Michigan?
Yeah, there's 60% basically in Wisconsin, and as you know, the sister cities up there, you can almost throw a rock across from one state to the next, and it's a good pooling of people, and it's a strong area to gather people together from the workforce.
Do you know about how many there were working on this ship in total?
Total numbers. There's the yard is there's about 2,000 people going through those gates every day, and probably about overall probably about 800 are working on individual hulls like this throughout the life of the construction period. These ships we get awarded around March of the fiscal year, and we have about a year period that we go into of long lead material. We have to go order all the engines, all the steel. We start construction after about 12 months. It takes us about 2 years to get through the construction phase, and then we put them into the water for the testing period. So total period runs just about 3.5 years, and these ships come out, and then commissioning dates are set by the Navy. Our milestone ends with a delivery date. The delivery date on this ship was several months ago, and she sails out now and then is a fleet asset as of Saturday's ceremony, which is a great thing. I'm real excited about it. I mean, Detroit, I think this is great because you bring it to the namesake city. It really it ignites the city and everybody else. But we have several ships that are named in landlocked areas, which are very tough to do. And but other than Milwaukee right now and Detroit are two of the first four we've had that we've been able to take them right to their hometown. And I think for the city of Detroit, it's a great thing.
My name is Matthew Harkless. I am on USS Detroit, as you all probably already know. I joined the service shortly after graduating, a couple months after graduating high school in 2008. Well, this is my first commissioning I've ever done, and it is something that is a one-of-a-kind experience that you can't experience anywhere else in the Navy. And bonus of being from the area makes me even more proud than I probably could ever be being from Detroit. Everybody asks me, where are you from? I'm from Detroit, and I am on the USS Detroit. It's like one of my proudest moments, I think, of my Navy career so far. Growing up around Michigan, you don't normally think about it. It's something you kind of take for granted, the 5 Great Lakes being around. And then you actually go on a U.S. ship going through the lakes. It's a pretty good experience.
So you went under the Mackinac Bridge and everything?
Yes, sir. It was nice. I am an electrician on board. So basically I service all the electrical components. This ship is very automated, so there's a lot of electrical components for anything you can think of in this ship. Any operation you can think of, there's an electrical component involved. That's basically my job, is to make sure the components still work and function to their best capacity. Most of my education as far as electrical has been in the Navy. I did a little bit in high school and loved it, so I figured why not be an electrician. There's 1 or 2 electricians on board. We normally have a always going workflow, so there's always something is the next thing going on.
You don't get a lot of downtime?
When I do get downtime, the last couple of days I just go walk around town. It's nice to be able to just walk around and see Detroit. From the feeling I gathered from the people outside the gate, I get stopped almost every time I try to come back. I hope they feel as proud as I do to be here. And I from what I've seen, it already looks like it. You have veterans that stop me outside the gate, they just want to talk. They just want to talk about, I met guys from the last USS Detroit. And we just talked for about 2 hours before I realized what time it was. And they're just very proud to be able to come here and at least see the ship. Like Detroit's shown, no matter how far we go down, we're always going to come back. We're going to come back better than we ever were before.
I really would like to close, at least here, by saying that I am the luckiest commanding officer. I'm the luckiest officer in the entire Navy, probably in the entire military. I have one of the hardest working, the smartest, most innovative crew. As I said, only 70 personnel right now in the entire fleet. The most well-trained, the most experienced, the most enthusiastic crew anywhere in the Navy. And I have the best ship, I have the coolest mission, and right now I'm in one of the best cities in America. And then my family's coming into town tonight. I'm just so blessed in so many different ways, and I appreciate the opportunity to share all that with you, and appreciate you coming on board today for a tour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are here today to celebrate the commissioning of USS Detroit, the 6th U.S. Navy warship to bear that name, and the 7th in the class of littoral combat ships. The first USS Detroit was captured from the British during the Battle of Lake Erie. The second USS Detroit was a sloop of war and served in 1869. The cruiser USS Detroit served from 1893 to 1905, during which time she participated in the Spanish-American War and a 2-year cruise to the Far East. The fourth USS Detroit, a light cruiser, participated in World War II. She was one of the ships that entered Tokyo Bay to accept Japan's unconditional surrender. The last USS Detroit was a fast combat support ship, which was designed to support a carrier battle group with fuel and ammunition. She proudly served the Navy for 35 years and was decommissioned in 2005. The LCS-class ship is unique in her design, as the primary mission of the LCS can be changed from surface warfare to anti-submarine warfare to mine warfare simply by changing out the mission module on the ship. The LCS is designed to operate in water too shallow for other Navy ship classes. This class also has a very large flight deck and blazing speed, in excess of 40 knots. It truly is a revolutionary design. The ship before you was christened on November 8th, 2014 at Fincantieri Marinette Marine in Marinette, Wisconsin.
In many respects, you may not know, this is very much a Michigan-made vessel too. It was built on the Menominee River, right across the border from Menominee, Michigan. And you can actually see it being built. And a large portion of the workforce that built this ship were Michiganders. In fact, we had over 55 other suppliers contribute to making this ship. So it's very much Michigan-made, and it's great to see it become the USS Detroit.
With today's commissioning of this combat ship, the USS Detroit has a fresh start, which is pretty appropriate in the city of Detroit right now. And so I know the ship and the crew were very enthusiastically received all week long. It was the talk of Detroit. I hope you felt welcomed, and I just want all the men and women who will be serving on this ship to know that wherever you go in the world, the best wishes and the prayers of the people of the city of Detroit will always be with you. God bless you.
What a great Navy Day we have in front of us, and what a great day for the city of Detroit. The 2016 model has a stealth and sporty look, as you can see, as well as the speed, performance, and horsepower of a muscle car. She is fast and agile, and she is ready to handle all that she is asked to do. We take great pride in knowing that the USS Detroit will so capably represent the United States and the great city of Detroit.
You know, shipbuilding has always been part of our nation's history. From the first 6 frigates to USS Detroit today, shipbuilding is in our nation's blood. And I can tell you there's no prouder profession or more important work, and there's no better shipbuilding team than our incredible partners from Fincantieri Marinette Marine and Lockheed Martin. They have built this magnificent warship, one that will carry the pride and tenacity of this city of Detroit across the world seas, protecting the liberties we hold so dear. Detroit is a name with a long history in our Navy, and this ship is the first Detroit since 1813 to dock in her namesake city. Our newest Detroit will enter the fleet and will forge an enduring legacy in the coming years as it represents U.S. interests abroad.
This ship is a shining example of the forward-looking 21st century technology that the United States Navy is leading to develop and deploy. The same advanced engineering and manufacturing know-how that powers this vessel is also fueling Detroit's economic resurgence. There is no better way to honor the spirit, the resilience, the determination of the people and the city of Detroit than by adding the USS Detroit to our Navy's fleet.
It was Teddy Roosevelt who said that we shall take leave to be strong upon the seas, in the future as in the past. And we're here today about the future because this Freedom class ship meets that challenge.
As Detroit is a shining example of our nation's drive for excellence and honors the memory of the over 2 centuries of ships and crew who proudly served our nation under the namesake Detroit previously, so is the city of Detroit. Detroit's men and women have stood the test of time and bravely responded when the call to duty was made to defend our country. The strengths and spirit of those patriots continues with this commissioning today.
I met many folks last night downtown, and I must say I'm impressed with the leadership and the people of Detroit and the energy that comes with it. We thank you for the outstanding support for this commissioning. It is a rare occasion that a namesake ship gets to commission in its host city, and it will bind that ship and this city together for all of its service for 25 to 30 years to come. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Admiral Davidson. Sir, I'd be honored if you would place Detroit in commission.
On behalf of the Secretary of the Navy and for the President of the United States, I hereby place United States ship Detroit in commission. May God bless and guide this warship and all who shall sail in her.
Thank you, sir. I will now read my orders. From Chief of Naval Personnel to Commander Michael Desmond, United States Navy. Subject, Bureau of Naval Personnel Orders Number 1545, dated 03 September 2015. When directed, detach current duty and proceed to Pre-Commissioning Unit Detroit for duties in conjunction with fitting out. Upon commissioning of USS Detroit, report for duty as commanding officer. Admiral Davidson, USS Detroit is in commission and I am in command.
Very well. Congratulations.
Thanks, sir. Executive officer, set the watch.
Aye, sir. Officer of the deck, set the first watch.
Aye, aye, sir.
The officer of the deck is the commanding officer's direct representative, and while on watch is responsible for the safety and smooth operation of the ship and her crew. The long glass is the traditional symbol of an officer of the deck's authority and a ship of the line. We are honored to have Mr. Gary Hembry here today to assist us in setting our first watch. Gary was a crew member of the previous USS Detroit. He will pass our ship's long glass on to our first officer of the deck, Ensign James Wade of Georgetown, Texas. The Chief Petty Officer of the watch is Chief Franklin Fielder of South Bend, Indiana. The messenger of the watch is Petty Officer Matthew Harkless of Pontiac, Michigan. And the boatswain mate of the watch is Petty Officer James Rutherford II of Galveston, Texas.
Station the watch. On deck, Section 1. Sir, the watch is set.
Very well. Captain, the watch is set.
Very well. Ghost Riders, attention to the sailor's creed. I am a United States sailor.
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. I represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before me to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I proudly serve my country's Navy combat team with honor, courage, and commitment. I'm committed to excellence and fair treatment of all.
We are delighted to have our sponsor, Mrs. Barbara Levin, here with us today. Mrs. Levin christened this ship in Marinette, Wisconsin on October 18, 2014. Barbara, I would be honored if you would join me and give the order to man our ship and bring her to life.
For more than 4 years,
I have had the honor and privilege of getting to know this great ship and our great Navy. I have learned so much about the USS Detroit and what the men and women of our Navy do every day to defend our nation and represent our values around the world. Commander Desmond, I know that you and your crew have felt Detroit's immense pride that you will carry the name of our city to distant shores. Do know that your ship's sponsor and her hometown will always have the USS Detroit, her crew, and her crew's families in our hearts and in our prayers. And now it is the moment for the time-honored commissioning declaration. Officers and crew of USS Detroit, man our ship and bring her to life.
We hope you've enjoyed the tour of the USS Detroit. We want to thank the captain for his hospitality and showing us around the ship. And I had a little closing I wanted to use. It's until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Join us on KiwaniTalk again soon.